Alright, so today I'm going to be showing you guys how to restore some of your old sheds that you found. You see they get this real bone white appearance, especially after they've been in the field for a year or two. And I found this elk shed this year out west in Colorado, so I'm really wanting to put some darker tone to it and kind of restore it back to its original appearance, if not a little bit darker. I'm going to put it on a coffee table that's a pretty dark color, as I believe I think it's actually this dark walnut. So I'm going to try this out. This color might not look very good, but I'm going to try it out on a couple of these old whitetail sheds that we have here and see what it gives me. And if it looks good, I'm going to go ahead and apply it to this. But for this project, all I have are these sheds, and this is wood stain fast dry. It's oil based and it's dark walnut made by Varathane, and you can get this Menards, Home Depot, pretty much anywhere, any lumber store or anything. So I've got the stain, some staining pads. I think any kind of sponge would work, and I've also got a couple of rags over here that I'm going to use to wipe off the excess that I get on the antler that I don't want. So let's go ahead and try it out on a few of these sheds and see what it gives us, see if we need to go get a different stain color or not, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this up. I've already used this probably 4 or 5 months ago. It should still be good. It'd probably also be beneficial to have a pair of gloves. I'm just too lazy to go get them right now. Go ahead, grab one of our sponges, get this elk shed out of the way. These don't really simulate the elk shed perfectly. This one's a little bit wider. I'd say this one's a little more close. The elk shed almost has a little bit of a gray tone, so I've got a feeling it's gonna end up a little darker than these whitetail sheds would be. But we're gonna go ahead and see what we get here with the whitetail sheds. So let's go ahead and lay that down there for you. And then I'm just gonna barely dip this in here. I'm gonna try to get a lot of that excess off there because I don't want it ponding up on there. I don't want it to be really dark. Just gonna go over it real lightly at first, and I can always go back and reapply a second coat. As you can see, I didn't even have to apply very much, and it's going a long way for me. I'm just gonna keep pulling some of that off of there because it's actually almost a little too much already. I'm gonna try to wipe it kind of with the points here. I don't want to go across so you can't see my sponge marks. Almost like going with the grain. You get the idea. Go ahead and try to get as much as I can of this so I don't have to place my hands on it a lot. Once again, the gloves would be very beneficial to have during this. I'm going to go ahead and leave the base right here. I think it adds a little bit of a more of a natural tone because those bases don't get dark like the rest of the antler does. But now I'm going to go ahead and try to pull some of the excess off of there. I don't really know how well this will work. I know if you're staining something, a piece of wood for instance, you can pull off that excess and it'll look really good. It'll kind of lighten it off, but I don't really know, working with calcium and bones, I don't know how well that will work. So I'm going to start here where it's real heavy and just kind of pull some away, and this will probably restore some of the different ridges and grooves that are within the bone and make it look more natural, because that's what we're going for here. We're going for a natural look. I guess you could say that this is probably going to be a little bit darker than most of your whitetail sheds would be, but overall this is doing pretty good. It's got it's almost got its own feel to it, like a darker feel, but it's got like a little bit of a cherry stain to it, and it actually looks really cool. Let me go ahead and keep pulling some of this off of here. I'm going to use this other rag to hold on, avoid it getting it all over my hands. Yeah, so you can see there's a lot pulling off here. I'm just going to keep working some of that away because I really don't want all of it. So that right there is pretty amazing. On the inside here, It's starting to look really good. These spots here have obviously missed, and I'll get those in a second. I'm not gonna re-dip it back in there, but I'm gonna pull as much as I can off for now. The base, obviously it needs a lot pulled off, so we'll see what we can pull off here. I'm trying to be careful up here, not wanting to put too much pressure on the areas that we've worked. Don't want to pull everything off, but you just really don't want much staying in there. But yeah, that's starting to look a lot better. So there again, you can see kind of the excess that's in there. I'm gonna pull some away again. You can really try to pull all of it off and it won't come off. You'll just get it to sink in. And you could really get creative with this. You could lightly stain places, stain other places darker, and probably get some really cool looks out of it. You know, you can kind of be creative here. But that right there is not too bad of a looking antler for what it was to start with to what it is now. It's definitely a darker tone. I would probably go a shade lighter than this. This is dark walnut, but with this elk antler, I'm kind of wanting it to look a little older than not older, but I want it to look a little bit darker. I want it to stand out and blend with that table. So we'll see. I'm gonna try to put a real faint coat. I might not even dip this sponge again. I might just start pulling some in here and see what we get. So moving on to the elk shed, what I've done here is grabbed a piece of sandpaper. This is a 120 grit, and I had an area here that was broke off. It's just a small little tine next to the brow tine, and my dad went ahead and rebuilt it back with some Sculptol. And I'm just gonna take this sandpaper and kind of put a soft grooving to it, just to, you know, allow that stain a place to grab a hold of and kind of look as the rest of the antler looks. It's definitely got a little bit of coarseness to it, and I don't want it to be just this smooth area in the middle of it all. So I'm just gonna go around it real soft and try to scratch it up a little bit, and then I'll wipe that off. So this is the finished product. Let me know how you guys think it turned out. I think it turned out really well. I got the kind of darker look that I was looking for. It's got pretty good coverage. You can see there's a little bit of you can still see those like areas in the bone that were a little porous, and they add for some nice flare. But I'm gonna go ahead and let this thing dry a little bit, set it outside for a while, let it dry, and it'll be good to go. So if you found this video helpful, subscribe to our channel, like it, share it with your friends, and we'll keep these sheds looking good for a long time.